And I'm sure that dairy farmers, like many of you, are welcoming the long-awaited warmer weather. But if you're an allergy sufferer like I am, you're not happy about all of the pollen. The Allergy and Asthma Foundation ranks Baton Rouge the third worst city for allergies and high pollen. But experts say that yellow pollen that's covering your home and car may not be the real culprit.
Budding oak trees dance below a blue sky as vibrant azalea blooms salute the most glorious season of the year. But for some of us, it's the most miserable time of year. More than 4 million Americans suffer from pollen allergies, and the Asthma and Allergy Foundation says this spring's pollen explosion could deliver the worst allergy season in decades. LSU Ag Center horticulture specialist Dan Gill says the unusually long and cold winter could be to blame.
We do know that some plants will respond to that additional cold and bloom more heavily. And since the flowers are what create the pollen, if it did induce some of the grasses or if it did induce some of the shade trees to bloom more heavily, then that certainly would have created more pollen in the air.
Most people think the azaleas and other bright flowering plants are the cause for their allergies. But he points out the plants you never notice are the real problem.
The wind-pollinated plants, those are the ones that give us allergy problems because their pollen is airborne, but their flowers are tiny. You never notice them. So when you see the trees blooming, nobody notices that. Or the grass is blooming, nobody notices that. They blame the flowers they can see, but those are innocent bystanders in the whole process.
And humans aren't the only ones plagued by pollen this season.
Animals will have allergies just like people do.
Veterinarian Dr. Philip Wagasback says dogs can suffer from several types of inhaled allergies, including pollen.
In animals, they can have runny eyes, sneezing, but most of the problem involves with itching. Dogs will have a tendency to start chewing their feet, rubbing their face, periodically sneezing, and then you start to see them itch and scratch.
But there is some good news. Gill says the pollen count should continue to improve in the next few weeks.
The live oaks, at least in the Baton Rouge area, are just about at the end of their blooming time. And I would think over the next few weeks, the majority of the deciduous trees that have been blooming for the last 6 to 8 weeks are finishing up their flowers.
Dr. Wagasback says farm animals like horses and cattle can suffer from seasonal allergies as well. He says the best way to help your pets or your own allergies is to visit a doctor for a specific test to find out which allergen is actually causing the problem. If you're as allergic to the outside world as Avery Davidson is, you'll learn that that's just about all of them. And I'll put some helpful links under our story on the website at twilatv.org.